Well, be it the IPL or the World Cup, Bangalore never fails to disappoint as a venue. Finally, some semblance of a thriller, I would say. I mean, not exactly a thriller, but at least a lot of runs scored, a lot of boundaries scored, a lot of entertainment. We saw Marsh, Warner up top. We saw even Pakistan's openers finally scoring runs at a brisk pace. So a lot of fun, but of course, the match wasn't as close as we would have probably liked it to be. We've got Gurkara to sort of get into the nuts and bolts of how Australia finally managed to, eke out a proper full-fledged victory against a top-notch opponent, something they've been wanting to do given the kind of start they had. Gurgarat, how are you doing? How was the game? And importantly, how's Marsh's innings? As a DC fan, I'm guessing you must be over the moon right now.
नहीं, I am not a DC fan. मेरे को अभी I don't know, but see, in the preview show, both Nikhil and I had Marsh as X Factor, and we gave reasons for that. And yeah, good to see him do well. Uh, See, you'd have to say that Pakistan bowlers did not help themselves, and then the fielding also did not help them. Uh, but the same thing happened with Australia. So I think if you just reduce the whole bowling effort, or the whole innings of Warner to that one drop catch, it won't be fair. It's just that, like how we were discussing in the preview, that if in the absence of swing, if the pacers don't get their lines and lengths right, they could rarely travel, and that's what happened. uh, I am at a loss of words to describe what Harris Roff is doing. I've mentioned quite a few times that he's doing ego bowling. Today was no different. Going short or full to Mitchell Marsh is not going to help. In fact, this World Cup, he's bowled 28.3 deliveries of his, as short deliveries. I had our content team look at those numbers. I'm just opening them once again. Yeah, so he's bowled 17% deliveries in the slot, and while he's bowled in the slot, he's gone for 12 point at an economy rate of 12.2, and when he's bowled short, he's gone for an economy rate of 7.2. So it's something that has been a problem with him. So they did not help themselves, and when there was a period where spinners were in operation, Nawaz and Iftikhar, it was strange for Babar to bring back pacers so that Marsh could then get to his 100. I don't know. So it's just the game played out the way we thought it will get played out. And Pranav Anand's right. Haris Roff today was 155, 150 kilometer. Shardul Thakur, her length or line पे हर bowling करना है. Exactly. So but I felt the shot of the day for me was Warner playing that half scoop or half flick or whatever you want to call it. It was some great level of anticipation. So yeah, Pakistan were derailed with that opening stand.
True, and in fact, I remember just when that shot was played, it was Aaron Finch or probably Shane Watson who mentioned having a chat with David Warner the other day, and where he was talking about how he plans on premeditating his shots against the likes of Haris Roff if they're going to come round the wicket. And that's exactly what we saw happen. He saw the bowler coming in round the wicket. He decided to premeditate his shot, and boy, was his execution good. That was definitely the shot of the game. In fact, if I'm not wrong, that was the second longest six of the tournament, just behind Shreyas Iyer's 101-meter six. But yeah, fantastic knock for both of them, Marsh and of course Warner. Marsh even went on to say in the mid innings break that he usually isn't that big an emoter when it comes to scoring centuries and all of that, but today felt different. He also specifically spoke about having batted in Bangalore before, but never really cashing in on that, and he wanted to do that today, and that's exactly what we saw. But a pattern that we saw play out in both innings, and something you sort of mentioned earlier, was we saw the openers, the top order do well, and then you saw in the latter half of the innings the batting taper through, like in general across both teams. Do you think this was a reflection of the surface itself or the ball because the ball softened and became harder to time, or do you think it was just a coincidence?
See, I wouldn't say the same thing happened in both the innings because, I think Pakistan opener should have done better in the power play. 59 for 0 when you are chasing 368. I don't think that cuts it. Maybe, they should have tried to be 75 for 1. That would have been better. And you saw that, when Rizwan got off to a good start, he was scoring well. Iftikhar was scoring well. He got to a good start. So I don't think that, the pitch became any difficult because there was some dew. It helped the batters coming in. It's just that Pakistan batters were up against the scoreboard pressure, and that's what led to a few wickets. Uh, as far as Australian batters is concerned, I think I again don't feel that the pitch changed too much. Yes, there was some turn on offer as we saw Osama Mir get some, and there's a little grip which you could get if you could bowl slow. But that middle order, that Australian middle order not doing well, I think was probably down to them being trying to be ultra aggressive. We saw what happened with Maxwell, and then after that Smith came in. Smith got out to a innocuous delivery. Probably was playing as Usama Mir for the first time, so got stuck in there. And then it was just them trying to bat ultra aggressively. Maybe if they had given themselves a bit more time, they could have done well. Stoinis should have enjoyed scoring runs on this pitch, but it did not happen. We saw only English sort of bat at a strike rate of more than 100, and everyone else couldn't. So probably it was just trying to be ultra aggressive and not really being able to play they want. Like Marnus is not meant for these kind of situations. So it was a combination of everything. And by then Pakistan Pacers also sort of pulled themselves up. Shaheen bowled a good spell. Haris Rauf in his last 5 overs only gave away 13. So yeah, a lot of factors over there.
Definitely, in that sense, the Pakistan bowling lineup did make a comeback in the latter half. You mentioned Haris Rauf, first 4 overs going for 59 runs, then the next 4 overs going for about 23 runs, if I'm not wrong. So he did make a slight comeback, but again, when you go for 59 runs in a 4 over spell in an ODI, there's very little chances of
He
you,
was he,
making a
he had
comeback.
gone for 70 in his first five, if I'm not wrong. That's too much.
First
It's
six, first six. Bhai,
first six. Sorry.
And yeah, I completely agree that like you can't, because especially in a format like the ODI, you can't possibly think of coming of making a comeback from 4 overs 59 or 6 overs 70. It just becomes very hard. Pranav
Yeah.
Anand meanwhile says during the IPL I'd commented that I'd love to see this Pakistan bowling attack bowling at Chinnaswamy. I figured to add only in T20s, but Pakistan did miss Naseem Shah. How big a miss was someone like a Naseem Shah today? Because do you think he would have been able to give them more control in terms of limiting the run scoring?
Yeah, he would have shown why there is sort of daylight between him and others in that Pakistan bowling attack, because you need that control. Haris Rauf had no control at all. Like you mentioned, his figures: 8 overs for 83 runs, and it was 70 in the first five, if I'm not wrong. And Hassan Ali, I thought Hassan Ali was still trying to do a couple of things, but Warner played him well. But I was also surprised with, you know, with Babar not finishing off quota of Iftikhar or Nawaz, because Nawaz gave 43 in 7, which you might say is expensive, but not on days like these. And Iftikhar Ahmed 0 for 37 of 8 overs. So despite the carnage, he was able to do well, and which is why I had him as an X factor. It's just that he had just too much to do with the bat. But when he was there, you felt that maybe Pakistan could get close.
True. I mean, both you and Nikhil Bhai had Marsh as your X Factor players. Nikhil Bhai, of course, did make a slight tweak to ensure that there's no overlap. But yeah, let's talk about some of the top performers of today's game in the next segment. Again, Gurkirat, fairly straightforward, you would say, in terms of your top performers of the day. You have a couple of them who are sort of quite ahead of the rest of the pack in terms of their performances, their impact. Who are you going for as your top performer for the day?
Has to be David Warner. Can't look past him. However, I felt that Zampa bowled well, but I feel one of the most underrated performers today is Hazelwood, because he bowled a very good 5 over spell in that power play, gave away only 18, and eventually I think he ended up with what? He he ended up with 1 for 37 in 10 overs. So yeah, that performance will go unnoticed, but it was a very good performance. One of the reasons with due to which Pakistan also couldn't really get as many in the first 10 was Hazelwood's spell, because Starc went for plenty. Starc had gone for around 28 in those first 3 overs. So yeah, Hazelwood bowled well today, but hard to look past David Warner, because he just put Australia in a position from where it was difficult for them to lose.
That's true. I mean, 163 runs. That's the kind of a knock that you would expect most days would lead to a victory. It's very, very, very difficult. Especially what would probably make Pakistan even more rue is the fact that they ended up dropping him early on. Like Chachan goes on to mention also that Pakistan dropped too many catches for their liking. They were out of the game there only. Wait, I'm trying to think. Too many catches. Is it plural or am I getting that wrong? Because I can only remember Warner's drop off the top of my head.
And there was
What?
Warner's drop, and there was a drop of Steve Smith by Babar. But
Okay.
you know, I said this in the beginning. To reduce the entire game to that drop would not be fair, because despite that drop, you can create chances, you can bowl better, but Pakistan didn't do that. We have seen we've seen that happen. That despite it's not Abdullah Shafiq was dropped today, Imam was dropped today, but Australia was still able to create chances and get ahead in the game. So uh, sometimes, like I've said before, that we just focus on that drop too much because no other opportunity has been created from there. Yes, that drop would have hurt, and someone like Warner on this pitch will make you pay for it, but you still have to bowl better than what you did. And Pakistan was just paces were just all over the place today.
All right, a couple of interesting questions coming from our viewers' side. Shuchi Yadav, for instance, he asks, Pakistan's template of not attacking in the power play has led to this result. Perfect batting wicket. Could have been a close game had they made more use of the new ball and field restrictions. Again, something you also alluded to before, 10 overs, 59 for no loss. Probably a tad too less given the kind of score they were trying to chase. But again, not something new. We've discussed this earlier as well. Imam ul Haq, Abdullah Shafiq, both are not players who can sort of score briskly off the blocks. They take their time. That's always going to be something Pakistan had to be wary about. I mean, the only way they can solve for this is maybe in the future going forward, uh, coming up with options. Yeah.
So, see, Pakistan's required rate at the start of the chase was 7.36, right? Which means that they have to score around 73 or 74 runs every 10 overs. There wasn't a single phase of 10 overs where Pakistan got to 73. Uh, Between overs 11 to 20, they scored 72. Between overs 21 to 30, they scored 69. And then 31 to 40, they again scored 72. And the first 10 they scored 59, and Australia on the other hand had 82 runs. So that's what I'm saying. Pakistan, had they tried to be 75 for one, it would have been better for them, uh, and probably put Australia under a lot more pressure. And see, I know today Imam started off well. He was, the more of the aggressor in the power play, so you can't hold it against him. But otherwise, you'll have to look at both those innings, and you'll have to say that once you've gotten your eye in, you probably have to do slightly better than 64 or 61 or 70 or 71. And this 70 of 71 has 10 boundaries for Imam, which basically means 30 runs in 61 deliveries. So you have to be better in terms of strike rotation. Similarly for Abdullah Shafiq, 40 runs out of 40 runs out of 64 in boundaries, 7 fours and 2 sixes. So that again means that he scored only 24 runs in the remaining 53 deliveries. So probably the lack of strike rotation played a part here. Maybe had they looked to focus on singles a little bit. See, the operative word is, I'm saying they focus on strike rotation and singles. I'm not talking about extra risky singles. So that's something that people need to realize before they say, "Oh, you are against runouts." I'm saying you have to be better at in terms of strike rotation. I just feel there were too many dot balls. So yeah, and then Bauer also not really kicking on. Got a start. 18 of 14 is not bad. And like Rizwan again, 46. I said that you can't leave too much for Rizwan to do, which was the case again. I felt that he was due for a failure, not a failure as such, but he just left with too much to do.
That's true. And again, sorry, not Zampa. Rizwan's wicket, Babar's wicket, Iftikhar's wicket, all of them, credit has to go to Zampa there. The kind of bowling he did today, given the surface that he was playing in, the stocks, I mean, sorry, the odds were always stacked against him. And for him to, despite that, come up with a spell like this, because we mentioned even in the preview that given the kind of surface that Bangalore is, you expect your pacers to be able to do the heavy lifting in terms of both wicket taking and limiting your run scoring. But Zampa to be able to come up with a 4 for not going for much, 4 for 55 if I'm not wrong. Fantastic, fantastic spell. How happy were you to see? Because if I'm not wrong, even Pranav mentioned somewhere that, yeah, finally Zampa showed up, and I mean really showed up, not just in terms of wickets. So how would
You
you
could
rate this guy from Zampa?
I felt it was an excellent performance, and the difference that you felt with him today is that you could see that he was able to land the ball where he wanted to. The wicket of Iftikhar, the wicket of Rizwan, and then finally the wicket of Nawaz. You could feel that he was able to land the ball where he wanted to, which is why he was so pumped up. And I thought that Rizwan, that Iftikhar dismissal was probably bat first, but yeah, was it? You can't really blame the on-field umpire for that, but good review from Australia there. And sometimes bowling that flipper or the quicker one short of length is a difficult ball to execute, but so many times Zampa got that right today. So excellent performance from him.
Throw almost reminiscent of his idol Shane Warne's bowling, how he would go get those flippers again, short, slightly short of length. But yeah, one more wicket that I would like to bring up. I mean, one more dismissal rather was of Rizwan's. How close do you think was that? Like, I felt that could have been given not out even by the umpire, by the on-field umpire, because I was a bit too close for my liking in terms of where the wicket was also just about clipping the leg stump. But were you fine with it? Did it seem all right to the naked eye?
See, he was hit on the back leg with with only I mean, the stumps were pretty much covered. So when you are hit on the back leg and the height wasn't too much, so you felt. I think he was hit in front of the middle, or probably the middle of the middle and leg stump. So from there, it's difficult for you to not get that LBW out, and there have been far worse LBW calls being given that out. There is still more out than not out for me, so it's fine.
All right, fair. Satyapanishwar Donti says they didn't have even a single six in Chinnaswamy, that too in a chase. Pakistan has lacked a player who can, sort of power their way through in the power play. Again, a chat we've had before. The only solution to this is post World Cup, that there are no quick fixes that they can go for in the World Cup right now. They don't have any backups. Maybe going forward, the likes of Sam Ayub, the likes of Mohammad Haris, given maybe they can be groomed into that, into what basically you could say Rohit Sharma is probably doing for India, or what Mitchell Marsh is doing for the Aussies, ensuring that they get a blitzkrieg up top more often than not. And that would be very, very, very key for them, given how how their middle order structures, the likes of Babar, Rizwan, even Imam, all of them are accumulators. Again, nothing new that we're bringing up, but again, we just have to bring it up. Pranav also goes on to say about the Rizwan dismissal. He says Rizwan had moved so much across, he didn't help himself. I think the umpire was correct there. Fair call, yeah. I mean, you can't blame the umpire probably there. And like Gurkirat mentioned, we've seen far more ridiculous howlers. So yeah, we couldn't point this one out in that regard. Kanan says Stark being erratic with the ball is a concern for the Aussies moving forward. Thoughts, Gurkirat?
Stark has been that way many times. Also see, we had some ball by ball data. Again, I want to quote some of the numbers that our team sent, and they were there in the live blog as well for people to check. Just allow me a moment. I'm just opening this up. So Stark also is bowling a lot to get wickets. So he's bowling considerably fuller, but he's not got that reward. I'm just Yeah. So Stark has bowled 53% in the slot while trying to look for wickets, and that is why he has been sort of erratic. But that has always been the case. It's just that sometimes when we only watch in World Cups, we feel okay that he's someone who bowls with great control. But outside of the World Cups, we've seen enough that Stark has struggled for control. I think it will correct itself, because I don't think Australia have any other option but to back him. They don't have a left arm pacer, I feel, in the squad, and even if you have someone, you will not have that player as a pedigree of Stark. And what I felt today, what he was trying to do when he came back for that second spell, is that he was trying to bowl with a lot more control, which is why the pace was lesser. So yeah, it is something that you will have to take with him. It's something that you have to take with attacking bowlers, which is why India are also backing Siraj. That okay, we know Bumrah's there, who will do the job. So which allows the other bowler to probably go for that extra bit. So yeah, I mean, it's something you can't do much about.
Fair enough. All right. I mean, just like how Siraj gave a six for, you can always hope from someone like a Starc to come up with a spell like that, especially in a tournament like the World Cup, where he's known to,
Yeah.
go get those wickets day in, day out. Again, he continued to maintain his streak today in terms of not going wicketless in a World Cup fixture. So yeah, that's great for the Aussies. As long as he's taking the wickets, they don't mind him being that erratic. But speaking of erratic, there was a certain newcomer who played for the Pakistan today. In fact, he played his first game today, Usama Mir. Unfortunately, not the greatest of starts. The kind of dolly that he dropped. Had I been Usama in that position, that's it. That was game over for me. I would have completely lost interest in playing the game. But kudos to him. Not that bad a bowling effort, so to say. How would you rate him? Because we know why he was brought in. Shadab hadn't been amongst the wickets. He'd been off boil, like Nikhil Bhai had mentioned, for an extended period now. Happy with how he fared today, and do you see him being given an extended rope in the World Cup itself?
Felt he bowled decently in phases, but see, you have to realize this was not a not a great pitch for a bowler to come in, and given the situation, so uh, and that drop catch did not help, because obviously there would have been extra nerves. So I felt it's something that we discussed again in the preview, that if Pakistan don't get early wickets, then the spinners would have to come in, and they would come in under a lot of pressure, where they probably will not be allowed to get settled into a length. So not the best way to sort of judge a newcomer. But like when he was bowling to Smith, you felt when he knew that batters will not attack him, he was able to bowl with a little more control. So probably have to see a lot more of him, and then see what he can do. But I felt that the pace that he was bowling with, the pace was good, because that is why he was able to extract some turn also.
True, and one thing that really caught my eye was his control with the ball. He really ensured that he didn't bowl those long hops that we've sort of gotten used to seeing with Shadab. कि हर ओवर में कम से कम एक तो मिल रहा है. Man hit me ball. Good to see him have a lot more control, and like Kanan just mentioned, with that height, sorry, he can definitely be more than just a handy spinner in sort of suitable conditions. But time to move on to the next segment, where we talk about what the turning point was for today's game. I mean, 360 odd play, 300 odd. Turning points की बात करें तो Gurkirat, where are you looking at? What? Like, don't tell me it was Osama Mir's drop catch.
No, I won't go there, but yeah, you have to say, you I think if we are looking at it, looking at it very finely, then probably from that 17 to 26 over mark in the Australian innings, when the spinners had gotten some control, then probably had Babar continued with spin, maybe it would have helped them. And then in the Pakistan batting innings, you'd have to say those wickets that came in that in that period between 20th to 30th over. Although I still feel that Pakistan were behind, because they did not start off well in the power play, but they were still in with the chance. And then the final nail in the coffin, I was like, Iftikhar's wicket, because from there on it wasn't going to happen single-handedly for Rizwan. So quite a few, but major one you would have to say, uh, the power play in both the innings, actually, if you are going to look at it, because Pakistan were very poor with the ball, and then they did not show enough intent. They should have really tried to be 75 or 80 in the power play.
Fair, all right. I mean, intent has been the buzzword in limited overs cricket for an extended period now, and Pakistan haven't really read the memo so far. Hopefully, that won't be the case going forward, because they will be playing quite a few games at venues like Chinnaswamy, Wankhede, and of course Eden Gardens. So yeah, fingers crossed they can do better than what they did today with the bat at least, and hopefully even with the ball for that matter. A question from Gigi. Seems like a new guy. Gigi, make sure you've already subscribed to us if you haven't. And also, guys, all of you, make sure you've hit the like button if you haven't. And yeah, he says, has the Australian team started peaking at the right time? And do they have a team with the caliber of the 2003 team that came back from early losses to go on and win the World Cup? Geez, those are some big words there. What do you think, Gurkirat? Where do you stand when it
I
comes to
don't
that?
think the 2003 team did not have any early losses in the they won the World Cup unbeaten, so that I am sure of. Do they have the pedigree of that team? I don't think so. Uh, are they peaking at the right time? Again, it's not something I feel we can say, because normally you feel that Australia should get past teams like Sri Lanka and Pakistan. So we probably have to see how they do versus England and New Zealand when they play those teams, and probably then we can make this call. But I feel I don't think we can otherwise say that, to be honest, that they are peaking at the right time. These two wins will help them. The fact that Cummings got wickets in the last game, Marshall scored runs, Zampa has got wickets is something that will keep them in good stead. But the middle order is still a worry. Smith is yet to score runs. Uh, English had a good contribution in the last game, but Stoinis has not scored runs. You'd hope that after taking wickets today, Stoinis gets more of the bowling. And yeah, so there are still issues, but yeah, maybe saying that they're peaking at the right time is also too early to say, because there's still 5 games to go before the semifinals come. Maybe after they've played 6 7 games and then they get on a streak, that is when we can probably talk about it.
All right, I mean, fingers crossed for Aussie fans then. Kanan, meanwhile, says Pakistan from this batting paradise will go to Chennai where they might get a good turner. And if I remember it correctly, they're playing Afghanistan next on
They're
Monday,
playing
which is
Afghanistan there.
yeah. And after
They're
that, they also
playing.
play South Africa in Chennai again on Thursday before coming back to Bangalore to play New Zealand. So basically, they have two Chennai matches sandwiched between two Bangalore matches. I mean, yeah, geographical proximity, yeah, sure, there is that, but I don't think there are any more similarities if you want to compare the Bangalore surface and the Chennai surface. But yeah, you never know. I mean, they have plenty of spin options that way, and they have variety in their lineup. They've got a left arm off spinner, they've got a right arm off spinner, they've got a leg spinner. They have all those bases covered on paper. But again, Gurkirat, the spin attack, not really the greatest, right? Like on paper, sure, they seem to be covering most spaces, but skill wise, there's still some distance that they'll have to cover.
For sure, but also we cannot just assume that the pitch in Chennai will be a difficult one to bat at, because it was one for the India Australia game. But when New Zealand played Afghanistan there, or when they played Bangladesh there, it wasn't a pitch where batting was difficult. The Bangladesh pitch actually had a lot of bounce, the Bangladesh New Zealand pitch. So it would be interesting to see if it turns. Then not only Pakistan with the ball would not favor it, given the form of their spinners, but their batters also will struggle. And at this point of time, I don't think even having a pitch like today helps Pakistan from a bowling point of view, because their pacers are also struggling. So who knows, if there's a pitch that has some turn, maybe Usama Mir can come in the game a lot more. Can they consider playing Shadab in place of one of the pacers? Maybe Haris Rauf. I don't know. They play Afghanistan. Against Afghanistan, high pace can work. High pace, if directed well, can work. So they have some things to ponder over for sure.
All right. I mean, some interesting shouts that Shadab for Haris could actually make for a very, very, very good talking point that way if they actually do go ahead with that come Monday. But yeah, in terms of Australia's games now and what their road ahead is, if we have a look, they next play Netherlands, which you would expect would be in Australia's favor. They're playing Netherlands in Delhi again. Netherlands, if for those who've sort of forgotten, we spoke about how Pakistan spinners haven't been the greatest. They are above this one team, and that is the Netherlands in terms of their spinners' performances. So you can see how hard it would be for Netherlands to come up with a good performance at a venue like Delhi. Of course, it has been a high-scoring venue, but we've still seen the ball turn, the ball grip, so it won't be easy for them. They then go to New Zealand to, I mean, sorry, not New Zealand. They then go to Dharamshala to play New Zealand. Boy, that'll be a mouth-watering contest of the highest order. Gurkha, looking forward to that clash, right? Australia and New Zealand, and that's also a day game in Dharamshala. If there's early movement, oh man, we'll be seeing quite a few batters hopping left, right, and center.
Yeah, but so far there hasn't been any movement in Dharamshala that way. In fact, if anything, the pitch has slightly been two paced, and it's not been one where you've been where run scoring has been easy. So let's see how the pitch is. But against Netherlands, yes, Australia should fancy themselves. However, the last match that happened in Delhi, which was between England and Afghanistan, there was some turn available. The good thing is that even though there's turn available, there is true bounce, and the pace of the pitch is decent enough for batters to have fun. So yeah, should be, Australia should go into that game as favorites, but Netherlands will have a lot more confidence with them after upsetting South Africa in Dharamshala.
Go around. Let's hope that happens. That actually happens. They're playing in Gurkirat Paji's hometown. Let's hope they are able to conjure up some more tricks. But yeah, I mean, I realize that we've spoken about the turning points, about the top performances and all of that, and I forgot to talk about the match in itself. Just summary in terms of how the performances were. Just for those who are joining us late. Australia, of course, 367 for 9. We saw Warner and Marsh both score centuries. In fact, Warner went on to score a big daddy century, something that would really, really, really boost his confidence. Not that he was lacking in it. In response, not Afghanistan, sorry, their neighbors Pakistan only managed 305. In isolation, yeah, 305 does seem a decent effort, but knowing what they were chasing and knowing the kind of surface that was on offer in Bangalore, you would have hoped for them to be able to score a bit more. Zampa was the pick of the bowlers for Pakistan. Sorry, wow, man, what's up with me? For Australia, fantastic, fantastic 4 for him. Before that, we also saw Shaheen with us 5 for something we haven't really mentioned so far. We'd spoken about how Shaheen really needs to be amongst the wickets for Pakistan to be able to come good. He did get a 5 for. In fact, his second spell was really, really, really good. He seemed accurate. He seemed to get under the batter's bat quite consistently. Were you happy with his performance today, Gurkirat?
See, one of the reasons we haven't spoken about his fifer is because it came in too late to impact the game. I felt that he bowled better than what he had done with the new ball, because he pulled his lengths back. He realized that there isn't swing on offer, and he created a chance. So, uh, but yes, 5 for 54 on this pitch is something that you will take. And had it not been for him, probably Australia would have scored 15-20 runs more in the end. But yes, it's the new ball wickets have still not come. In 4 games, only in one game it has come, which was also not of a great delivery, where India was just looking to finish off the game very early when Shubman Gill played that shot. So uh, swing, he hasn't found a lot of swing, which is why it's been a lot difficult for him to take wickets. But I felt today he made one good change, which was he pulled his lengths back fairly early. If he can do that, in fact, that's something also Hassan Ali also needs to do, and so does Harris Roth. That if there isn't help available, look to contain the batters, don't leak runs. Maybe then you will get an opportunity. And I don't think that Harris Roth in this World Cup still now has bowled the best lengths, or the best length that can trouble the batters. He's either been too short or too full, and sometimes he's just done ego bowling at it. That's why he had the figures that he had today.
All right, that's pretty much it from today's game. A lot of talking points, a lot of points that we've also covered. Let's just take a few comments before we wrap this show up. Kanan says Nawaz has bowled economically but hasn't looked like taking a wicket 97% of his spell. Interesting number. He could have said 100%, he could have said 99, but 97% is what he says. What he says, rather. And yeah, I mean, fair. He's not been amongst the wickets, sure, but he has been good in terms of maintaining his economy and ensuring that runs haven't been that easy to score from his end. Adnan Shahid, meanwhile, says, don't you think Rizwan's wicket was due to the undue pressure created by Nawaz, who played a lot of dot balls? Interesting point that because just before Nawaz, we saw Iftikhar also get out to Zampa. How much of it do you think actually had to do with the scoreboard pressure, Gurkirat?
Scoreboard pressure was there regardless. If anything, you felt that Swat Shakil played a few more dot balls than what he should have. Nawaz had just come in, so wouldn't really blame Nawaz, because he was taking a few deliveries to get the hang of pitch. And see, he did try to go after Zampa, caught one shot as well. So the scoreboard pressure was on both by the time Nawaz came in. So putting it on Nawaz is a little too much. You probably have to say that maybe Saud Shakil could have done better. Maybe the openers could have done better. So yeah, going after Nawaz is a easy way out, I feel.
All right. Vipul Anand, meanwhile, says a big sports journalist is saying since Hardik is not in the team, it would force India to make two changes: Ashan in place of Hardik and Shami in place of Shardul. Your thoughts? I'm not going to ask Gurkirat this. because make sure you tune in at 1:25 p.m. sharp on Sunday, the 22nd of October, when India take on New Zealand in Dharamshala.
By the
Rest
way,
assured,
I'm not answering this question because Somesh has done a
exactly.
good Somesh has
Oh,
done a good article on this where he's given three possibilities. So you guys should read that article, and
yeah.
I just say that I'll go with option three in that article.
All right, he says option three. So make sure you read the article and make sure you also tune into our preview show for the India New Zealand game. Let's not be like one of the typical TV broadcasters, something we also discuss in the preview show. But yeah, a last question from Gigi before we wrap it up. He says, why is Manas so bad at power hitting despite having a decent batting technique? What do you think of that, Gurkirat?
Yeah, both those things are not related because power hitting requires power. You have to probably, while practicing power hitting, you have to look to hit the ball really hard. And sometimes when you look to do that, you have to get away from conventional technique. You have to take your left leg or the front leg out if you are the front leg out. It's the left leg if you are a right hander. It's the right leg if you're a left hander, and you have to really try a lot of those shots which you will not do otherwise. So uh, yeah, it's something even Kohli struggled with early on in his career, which Kohli himself mentioned that he felt some of his shots he couldn't clear the boundary, so that is why he had to put on some muscle and try those power hitting techniques so that he could clear boundaries with these. So yeah, if you look at his frame and if you look at his structure, you will know that he is not amongst the most heavily built guys. So for him to hit those boundaries powerfully would really take a lot of muscle, or he'll have to time it really well. So, and also it's something which a lot of players can also do easily. It doesn't come naturally to them even after trying. We've spoken of Yuzvendra Chahal in this regard, that he's not been able to put a lot more pace in his bowling. uh, or when we talk of, so there have been batters, someone like Bhuvneshwar Kumar was a decent number 8, but he couldn't really hit those huge sixes, or something which a Harbhajan Singh could, Ajit Agarkar could, or Shardul Thakur can, or even Mohammad Shami for that matter. So power hitting is different from batting technique.
All right, fair enough. And yep, on that note, it's time for us to wrap our review for the Pakistan Australia game. And guys, make sure you tune in for tomorrow's preview, which will start at 9:55 a.m. because it is a Super Saturday. It is a double header, and we've got two fantastic games lined up. It's a repeat of the World Cup qualifier finals, Netherlands taking on Sri Lanka, and then we've got England taking on the South Africans in Mumbai at the Wankhede Stadium. That's definitely going to be a box office hit. And yeah, all you Mumbaikers there, in our at least in our audience, make sure you catch us as well. We will be doing our fan camps tomorrow. Avni, Shai, because all of us will be there in Mumbai. We will be around the Wankhede Stadium doing our fan camps, taking it to the audience, and trying to understand why South Africa are the favorites to win this World Cup, for instance. So yeah, that's it from us. Make sure you guys sleep well and make sure you guys wake up in time because 9:55 a.m. isn't the most ideal of starts, but it is what it is. More than happy to have more matches than less any day. So yeah, you guys make sure do tune in for tomorrow. That's it from us. Have a great day. Good night.